Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning and welcome to the December 22nd County Commission meeting. I'd remind you to silence your cell phones. The meeting documents are on the end of the counter in the white folder. And if you need listening devices, Robert is in the front row and he can help you with that. With that, we'll move on to routine business. Item number 1 is consider a motion to approve the agenda. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I guess I'd like to approve the agenda, but I think we want to defer a couple items, don't we?
Correct.
So item number 14 and item number 16, I believe, are the ones that we hope to defer. So if Commissioner Kelly would allow his motion to be.
Draw the motion, you can
Okay.
make yours.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda without 14 and 16.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 2 is approve the county commission meetings from 12/15/2015. Is there a motion?
Approve the minutes.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 3 is bills to be paid in the amount of $505,747.98.
Pay the bills.
Second? on the
Second.
bills. A second. Any comments on the bills? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 4 is reports. Item A is Register of Deeds report of fees collected in November 2015, and that is on file in the auditor's office. Item number 5 is personnel actions. Carrie Deaver, Carrie. Consider a motion to approve routine personnel action. Is there a motion?
So move. Second.
I have a motion and a second for routine action. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Item B is a special commission action to reclassify the human resources generalist positions. Carrie Deaver.
Good morning, Carrie Deaver, Human Resources. These positions were originally classified in 2007, and since then, the scope of responsibilities of our office have greatly expanded. These positions are now responsible for expanded duties, including pre-employment physicals. We have one staff who's managing the pre-employment and the random drug and alcohol testing program. We have increased responsibilities for compliance with the Affordable Care Act, including reporting and filing different items for compliance for that. We've also taken on responsibilities with Lincoln County, which has greatly expanded the complexity of at least 2 of those jobs. They're handling more benefit-related insurance issues for a wholly insured organization as opposed to our self-insured program. We have additional employee relations issues. Given all the changes to those positions, we discussed during the budget process reclassifying those positions just 1 pay grade from 16 to 17. And today is my formal request for your approval for that change and to approve increases for the 3 people in those positions.
Are there any questions for Carrie on this?
I'll make the motion to approve that.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Item number 6 is applications for abatement. There are none. Item number 7 is notices and requests. Item A is authorize the county auditor to publish notice of hearing to consider application for a retail on-off sale malt beverage license from Tucker's Walk Vineyard, south 1/2, southwest 1/4, including, the Whaley Tract 1, exception H-1, and exception Copal Edition 24-130-48. And that is an authorization, so is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second to authorize that notification. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 8 is planning and zoning. There are none. Item number 9 is compromise of lien. Jeff Barth, and we have several of these.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first one we'll go after is the DPNO 61895 for $450, and then DPNO 61963 for $1159. The applicant has asked for a compromise and release of these 2. There's no real estate involved. The the one amount is actually duplicated in the second DPNO. So the first DPNO, 61895, is duplicated in the second amount. And so first of all, I think we should go ahead and dismiss that one
Okay.
and then address the second one. So I'll make a motion to dismiss 61895 for $450.
A motion and a second to dismiss DPNO 618195 because it is a duplication in records. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes
So
unanimously.
the second one in the amount of $1159 represents things provided in 2007, 2008 while they were married. The applicant is willing to pay half the amount and have his name removed from the lien. And I think that seems reasonable, so I'll make a motion to have him pay the 50% of that remaining amount, leaving the rest towards the ex-spouse.
Okay. Is that a motion?
It is.
Second.
I have a motion. Second, Cindy, do you have a number on that?
Pardon me?
50%, do you have a dollar amount?
$579.50.
$579.50. We have a motion for DPNO 619663 for let's try again, $579.50. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. All right. Item B, Jeff?
Yep. So then we go on to DPNO 27062, DPNO 36624, DPNO 80330, and DPNO 29952. I should have listed those amounts. The first one is in the amount of $5,281. The second one is $400. The third one is $15.16.40, and the last one is $35.04.88. One moment. That's what I see on my sheet anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
So this one, there is a home closing scheduled for January 9th, and I gotta say, I do appreciate it not being later today, which we've had a couple that came in right at the nth degree or time. Two of the liens are solely in the applicant's name. The third is in the name of her and her ex-husband. The fourth is in the name of the applicant and another ex-husband. Both liens include ex-husbands represent services provided before, during, and after their marriages. The DPNO 36624 is for $400 solely in the applicant's name. It was for services from Human Services. DPNO 80330 is solely in the applicant's name. It was incurred for public defender and court-appointed attorney. Services provided her juvenile son.
Commissioner Barth, do you want to deal with those two liens first? Or would you like to deal with them all at once?
You know, I guess I hadn't decided how
Okay.
this one's got
The
two
mess.
ex-husbands, children, and multiple.
I think it'd be best to do them individually.
Okay, I'm certainly happy to do that.
Let's start with that first one for $400, DPNO 36624 for $400. That was the one that is in the applicant by herself?
Let me say that the applicant is hoping to clear these, I believe, for no payment. Is that right, Robert? So I don't know if the applicant is present. If they are here, they certainly speak. They don't have to come to the podium or identify themselves. They can sit where they are and speak. Is the applicant present? Okay, staff says no. So we'll proceed. And again, this first one here is for $400 solely in the applicant's name. It was incurred in 2008 for services provided by Human Services, and the applicant wants to dismiss this with no payment.
Do we have any documentation that this house is closing?
Robert Wilson of the Commission Office, and I have spoken with the title company that is handling this closing and has researched this item leading up to this point, and that title company is really the reason that we were able to organize the liens that are in play in this case, because quite honestly, even in our research, there was an additional lien that we didn't find, and so we have confirmed that she is working with a title company and working towards a close, and have confirmed that is the agreed upon sale price, and understand that the information provided to you in the briefing memo is what her proceeds would be if no liens were in place. So yes, we have confirmed that the sale is scheduled to close.
Are we in line to get any of these payments once it's sold? If we don't compromise the liens to some way, then the house goes into foreclosure. Are we going to get any payment when the house is sold?
There have been no arrangements or any requests or no. I would.
Oh, sorry,
Maybe he's
Kirsten.
gonna
Sorry,
talk.
Kirsten.
Since we had to go to the title company to even get information about where these obligations were coming from and who was responsible, I can tell you that no one has given us a clear picture as to priority of any liens that were on this property, so I can't say if we'd be first in line, last in line, middle in line. I have no idea. It's just a dearth of information, I guess.
Commissioner Kelly.
Well, irregardless of whether it's a foreclosure or whether it's today, the lien stays in place until we forgive it, correct? I mean, even if it goes into foreclosure, the lien is still against the property. Am I not correct there?
It will stay on the property, but it'll be prioritized based on certain factors as to who gets paid. But once the foreclosure closes, no, it will not stay on the property if it goes through foreclosure.
Madam Chair, let me just go a little further here. The applicant claims assets, including the home she's trying to sell, $104,800, and liabilities of $82,000. That leaves the outstanding mortgage balance in two judgments, one in the amount of just under $6,000. She has an income of $26,000, but is currently not working because of an accident 2 weeks ago. I think that our best way forward on this is to make a compromise, not in full, but in line with some others that we've done, and ask her to pay that in advance of this closing. And there is time if she would choose to come back and counter our offer.
What's your compromise, Jeff?
So, I guess on these two, I believe that I would make a motion to compromise both with a payment of $958.20. $958.20.
That would cover DP&O number 36624 and DP&O number 80330.
That's correct, Madam Chair.
I have a motion to compromise those two liens for 50%, which would be $958.20. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, we have two more to go, Jeff.
Thanks. Okay, then we go on to DPNO 29952 in the amount of $3,504.88, which is in the applicant's name and ex-husband number one, I'll call him. During the marriage, liens of $1,421.58 were incurred, and payments of $520 were received for a net of $901.58. All other assistance before and after the marriage was provided to husband number one. payments of $394.50 were also received before and after the marriage. The net increase in the lien balance incurred outside the marriage by the ex-husband was $2,603. And so I believe that, if we dismiss the stuff from outside of the time they were married, that leaves, help me, Cindy, is that the 90152? Oh, yeah.
During the marriage,
So,
50%.
okay, that's right, I had it going in the right direction. Is 90152, and 50% of that would be 450.79. And I would make a motion to compromise DPNO 29952 for $450.79.
Okay. Leaving the balance.
Leaving the balance to the ex-husband, number one.
Okay. Is there a second on that motion?
Second that.
A motion and a
Excuse me.
second. Are there any additional comments on DPNO number 29952 for the amount of $450.79? All those in favor say aye. Oh, excuse me, Commissioner Benega.
I just want to verify that it looks to me like there's been partial payments on this one over a long period of time of just over $900. Is that correct? I'm just
Okay,
adding
so-
it in my head, but we've got 9 payments.
No, that's, there was 520, and then there's 394.50. So it's just over $900, Gerald.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at the remaining 901.58.
Okay, thank you.
I have a motion and a second on that DPNO. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
So then we get to the fourth DPNO on ex-husband number 2, DPNO 27062, the amount of $5,281.10. $578.50 were incurred while they're married. An additional amount was made before and after, solely to the ex-husband, and payments of $1,002.50 were received. The husband number 2 is solely responsible for the increased lien balance of $4,702.60. So there, at that point, then we figured 578.80 or 50 is the amount that the applicant is co-responsible for during her
Correct.
marriage. Okay, so 50% of that is what I'll make a motion to compromise. And
The amount is $289.25, $289.25. Is there, Jeff, is that your motion?
that is my motion.
Is there a
Leaving
second?
the balance,
And leaving
correct.
the balance against the ex-husband number 2.
Second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments?
Yeah,
Yep.
question.
Yep.
We're compromising half of the amount that incurred while they were married. And then the balance of that was incurred after the divorce?
Yes,
Well,
before and after,
Before
before and after the marriage.
well, there's also the 50% that we're not compromising for him. So he's responsible for the other 50% on what we're
And
considering.
what were those, what were they for? Public defender?
They were a public defender and public advocate type things, I believe.
idea whether either one of those gentlemen are still in this area? Robert knows.
Information from speaking with the applicant is one of the individuals is incarcerated, and I do not know what the status of the other individual is.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second on nope, this one.
That's for the previous one.
Okay. For DPNO 27062 in the amount of $289.25 and to leave the remaining balance against the ex-husband. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign, motion
Nay.
passes. Motion passes 3-1. Okay.
Madam Chair, I would just comment on all of these that the applicant wanted to get off without any payment, and that certainly we need to get back what we can because other people are in line waiting for these similar services, and we need to collect on behalf of the citizens of our county.
We have one DPNO left, which is DPNO number 88392 in the amount of $387. Jeff?
Working on it. Okay, this is one where the applicant is requesting a compromise with no payment. There's no transaction involved. The lien involves a single billing for a court-appointed attorney from September of this year. The applicant initiated an IVC hold on her adult daughter for issues related to substance abuse and did not expect to incur a lien. This issue has come up many times, and clearly, you know, if you know, your spouse turns you in on the IVC, your spouse gets the bill, but if your fellow commissioner turns you in, there is no bill. And it's a little odd because obviously people are caring for their family members, and I think there's a bit of a double standard there where we bill one and we don't bill the other. In this case, the applicant no doubt was trying to help her daughter, and I don't think that we should be billing for these good faith estimates or good faith efforts to care for a family member. And I don't know if I'll get support on this, but I'll make a motion to agree to compromise this loan with no payment.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other additional
I have
comments?
a
Commissioner Kelly?
question. Is there a lien put against the person that was committed on the IVC?
No. They didn't initiate it.
This person was never even put in. Was never.
Okay.
I have a motion and a second to release the $387 against DPNO 88392. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. The next is opportunity for public comment. This is when anyone can speak about a subject that is not on the agenda. If you would come forward to the microphone and give your name and address.
Good morning. I am Darlene Walhoff, 805 South Hillview Road, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I have some handouts here. Robert, could you do those? Thank you. What my comment is, I purchased my license plates at a kiosk at the Get and Go on East 10th Street. As you'll see in there, I intended to buy licenses for a car, a pickup, a van, and 2 homemade trailers. Because of the way they're titled, there was 2 that came up on mine when I put in my license. I purchased them, excuse me, expecting to see 3 more licenses on the screen when I purchased the second amount, and there were. And so I purchased them with my credit card. What I got was not license tabs for my vehicles as was put on the screen, but I got tabs for a boat and trailer that we had sold 2 years ago. I immediately contacted the county treasurer because I realized that a mistake had been made, and I was told that was a state issue, so I contacted the state. That day I went down there. I was told by the county treasurer she could have refunded my money if the state would give her authorization on that day before the funds were settled and they were appropriated out into the county. Could not get a hold of anyone at the state, so I was not able to get a refund at the county. Also was told that the kiosks were not something she was aware of how they operated, which I find interesting since they are coming from the county, Minnehaha County, and they are available for us to purchase licenses. On the next day, I contacted the state, and the state told me that I talked to an individual, and she asked me if I could read, which I assured her I could. And she told me on the screen it said there was no refunds offered. But my intent was I assumed records are correct. Bad on my part. We'll never assume that again. Expecting to see what was given to me on the cards. As you see on the third page, the cards that were sent to me were for the 2 homemade trailers, the truck, the van, and my CRV. So anyway, I talked to, escalated up, talked to Sadie Stevens at the governor's office. She had talked to someone at the Department of Revenue who then said if we could produce a bill of sale, which we did for the boat. It went into North Dakota. And where it gets interesting is we signed the title over to the individual that purchased our boat. And his name was Chad Parton, and he took the title. Bad assumption on our part, North Dakota does not require a title to be filed on a boat. So apparently that still stayed in our records in Minnehaha County that we owned the boat. But we were not ever even on the screen last year for the boat and trailer to be licensed. So anyway, continued to visit with Sadie Stevens, young lady. She talked to the Department of Revenue. They authorized full refund of $165.40. And those letters are here. They're also included in the package. I contacted Minnehaha County Treasurer. I asked what I needed to deliver to get my refund. She told me I needed to bring down the license tabs, which of course I had and didn't need anyway, and to bring down the letters. So I came down that afternoon, brought the letters from the Department of Revenue signed by a Brenda King. She proceeded to plop 2 other letters on the counter that authorized a refund of $65 rather than the $165, stating that she only agrees to refund 1 year of licenses. My intent was not to purchase any licenses, so let alone buy 2 years. I have never, and I did not take copies of those letters, my bad. I assumed I would be getting copies in the mail, which I never have. So I refused to take the $65 as settlement because I think in good faith and as a tax-paying citizen of Minnehaha County, I should be treated with the same respect that I treat anybody else that works, that does their job. I'm only asking to be treated fairly. I have since purchased the 2 license tabs for the trailers that were on the original cards that I received. So my request is, and I understand that you may not be able to say anything, is that something needs to be done. There definitely is a lot of finger pointing between the state and the county, the state and the county. I mean, every time I talked to the state, they said it's a county issue. Every time I talked to the county, they said it was a state issue. But as it turns out, the state authorized it and apparently refunded the money to Minnehaha County, but I will not be receiving a refund. So that is my comment, and I understand you can't do anything. I think I will be going public with this because this is not right. There are other people that may have done something similar and have been told, and I guess I'm fighting for the citizens of Minnehaha County. And if their records are not correct, I'm sorry. And if I inadvertently did not realize that I was purchasing a boat and trailer, I make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wilhoff. Okay. Any more public comment?
I try to run the office following the state laws and the rules. And I tried to do that without discrimination and treat everybody equally. Now, quite frankly, Mrs. Walhoff is not entitled to a refund because, first of all, she's not an owner on that title. She should not have been allowed and was not allowed, or should not have been allowed to license that vehicle because it's not in her name. Now, had she come down to the office and had a notarized slip or something giving her authorization to do that, she would have been able to. But if you look at the transaction and the business, there's 9 minutes apart. She was there 9 minutes earlier, then left and came back. My assumption is that she went home and got her husband's driver's license in order to make that renewal, but that may not be the case. I'm not sure. But only licensed owners of a vehicle can license that without a notarized slip. As for the statute on refunds, it talks about miscalculation, weight of a trailer, or perhaps it was an error because when they took it over the scale, it weighed less. There are specific reasons that you could issue that refund. In the law changed as of 2008 when House Bill 1081 went into effect. Because the plates now stay with the owner, the rationale is that that owner does have the opportunity, as long as the plate is current, to put it on anything newly acquired. So they will have some benefit in keeping that plate. When the plates didn't stay with the owner, then the rationale was that that they wouldn't benefit from that. So the law is different today than it was back then. And so, quite frankly, she isn't eligible for the refund, and we have to apply the laws the same for everybody. Now, I don't think it's good policy that we change those rules and make exceptions for people who are willing to complain to the commissioners or go to the governor or to the Department of Revenue and Mr. Gerlach. But the policy should be the same, and I apply it the same for her as I would for anybody else. And I'm just not making exceptions because you cry to the governor or to the commission or to anybody else. And it's my decision, so thank you for your
Sure.
time.
Pam, if I may, and by the way, you didn't identify yourself, but you're Pam Nelson, our county treasurer. So does this happen to
Maybe I
other
want to be
people?
anonymous, no.
Does
Lots
this
of
happen to other people where vehicles that are sort of ghost vehicles show up on their
Well,
bill?
The statute presumes that people know what they own,
Right, but if you have
and it happens.
a dozen
It
vehicles.
happens, and they've never refunded. They never refund, so.
Okay, but
unless you go to the governor or somebody, apparently.
How often does that happen? And is it our
Well,
issue?
I wouldn't say it happens all the time, but it happens
Is
more
it the
than.
state issue? Or, I mean, who's got the
No,
database?
Well, the database, that's another issue. The database may not be correct because they didn't get a seller's permit and they didn't report the sale. Had they done either of those two things, our records may have been correct. And that's why we have reports of sale, seller's permits, so the records are more accurate. Now, it's true that in North Dakota you don't license those things, but if they had notified our state, the state record would probably be more accurate.
Again, Madam Chair, so Pam, this is happening to other folks as well, though?
It does happen. People make mistakes.
Okay, and so would you say once a month, or?
I don't know, Jeff.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it happens all the time. I wouldn't say it happens infrequently. I think it happens. In the past, we've always not given those people the money back. The state rules say they don't. They're on the South Dakota Cars website, it says they don't.
If I may,
Commissioner Barth?
so, Pam, do we get the money when they do it at the kiosk? Does the money come to us, or does the state retain it?
At some point. But in the case of boats, the state gets the money.
So the state got
We
to
get the
keep her
trailer
money,
money.
but they want us to do the refund in this case?
I'm not sure. My guess is they authorize the refund if they want, but, if you cry to the right people, you might get what you want.
Well, let's not complain about crying, but I'm just wondering where the money went.
You like
and
whining
where-
better?
Where it should be.
The money is where it should be,
Okay, with us,
yes. Well, at some point, some of it is ours, yes,
except for the boat money.
except for the boat money. The trailer money is ours. I mean, I just can't change the policy because somebody's not happy about it. Otherwise, you change the law, change the rule, then I don't have a problem. But until those things are different, I'm following the law. Just like I didn't charge people before the law went into effect, I'm not changing the law now.
Looks like we better contact our legislators and change the law.
Yeah, but I'd be arguing against it, but
Okay. Any other comments?
Well,
Oh, Commissioner Kelly.
is the Crestliner a boat?
yes,
And then the Eagle trailer, obviously.
right.
And that boat money, that whole $81 goes to the state.
My understanding. I just collect the money,
Thank you.
and I know what I need to collect.
All right. Commissioner Bannick, are you going to say something or
Yeah,
will we move
just,
on?
this is a little weird in the standpoint that the request for the county to refund came from the Department of Revenue and not from the governor's office. So are we saying that the governor called the Department of Revenue and told them to call the
I only
county?
know, I don't know. I have no privy to what was had. I only know what I was told. And I was told by Darlene that and the state mentioned that somebody had complained to the governor. She implied that they talked to the Department of Revenue, which would be Mr. Gerlach.
But this,
And I think they're
Whatever-
doing what they think is right. They want to be helpful, but I have to apply the statute equally and fairly. And we've told a lot of people they can't have it, so if you want to change the law and then everybody has that opportunity, I have no problem with that.
I think what I would ask, if possible, Kirsten, if you wouldn't mind just looking up the law, and I'd like your interpretation, because there seems to be an issue with the fact that this came from the Department of Revenue rather than, frankly, anybody else.
That's
And
not the issue.
Well, no, it is, because
Well, not for me,
their
so.
interpretation evidently is different than yours, or they wouldn't have sent this letter. So I think I would like at least a second opinion on the fact that the Department of Revenue doesn't agree with you. So what we need to do is to pursue that and then come back and try to figure this thing out. That's
for
my opinion. And if the legislature needs to change something, that's another issue. But for right now, the Department of Revenue, who I think is also responsible for maintaining statutes and laws, has a different opinion than we have.
Go for it.
First-
I'll change my mind. And I've consulted lawyers too, and they agree with me, so.
Well, that's good. Then we'll,
Not necessarily. I consult more than one and a couple judges to be sure I'm on sound legal ground.
thank you.
Is there any other public comment? All right, I'll just have Kirsten look at that. And with that, we will move on.
If one more.
Which two items were deleted? 16. 14 and 16? Right. Okay. All right. With that, we'll move on to regular business, which is, did you have a public comment? No.
No,
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
just
Okay.
trying not to waste anybody's time.
That's fine. Number 10 is consider a motion to approve the 2016 retail on-sale license and Sunday sales license for the River Ridge Golf Course.
Good morning, Bob Litz from the Auditor's Office, and as you recall, a couple of weeks ago, we did have the bulk of these from the county permits for renewals were passed by you as a commission. This was not, however, due to the fact that we did not have the check or the application in at the time. It came early last week, and so we put it on as quickly as we could. There's no violations or objections reported by State's Attorney, Planning, or Sheriff's Office. So today, it's being requested to approve the 2016 retail on-sale liquor and Sunday sales license at the River Ridge Golf Course, which is just south of Garrettson.
Okay, any questions?
I'll make that motion.
Motion, is there a
Second.
second? Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed, same sign. Motion passes
you,
unanimously.
Commission.
Thank you. Item number 11 is authorize the chair to sign agreement between Minnehaha County and Southeast Behavioral Health for qualified mental health professionals, QMHP services at the Juvenile Detention Center. Jamie Gravitt. Good morning, Jamie.
Jamie Gravitt, Director of the Juvenile Detention Center. It's time to renew the contract for our QMHP services with Southeastern Behavioral Health. Since its inception in July of 2013, we've paid the same price for our services. One of those services is on-call services. We've been paying $50 a week for that. Southeastern's actual cost has been $100 a week. The only change in the contract that I'm asking for is that we increase that on-call price to $100 a week, that we would pay them for their actual cost.
And Jamie, I believe you addressed this in your budget for 2016 already.
I did, yes.
Is there any questions for Jamie on this? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the
Second.
agreement.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 12 is authorize the chairman to sign the 2016 agreement between Minnehaha County and Southeastern Behavioral Health for the Mobile Crisis Team. Robert Wilson. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Commissioners. Robert Wilson with the Commission Office. Back in 2011, the county partnered with a pretty broad group of local stakeholders to develop the Mobile Crisis Team pilot project. And the goal was to reduce the number of involuntary mental illness commitments and, when appropriate, to direct individuals to who were experiencing some sort of a crisis event to outpatient supportive services. This was an opportunity to both save public funds and to provide better outcomes for individuals who were experiencing a crisis event. Because of the success of that pilot program, that was expanded and authorized as part of a program to continue and as an ongoing program within the county's mental illness budget. The Mobile Crisis Team works very closely with local law enforcement in the field to assess individuals who are having some sort of a crisis event and determine if something other than a protective custody hold is appropriate. And if an alternative is appropriate, the team assists in connecting that individual with resources in the community. The county has partnered for the provision of QMHPs, Qualified Mental Health Professionals, for the Mobile Crisis Team with Southeastern Behavioral. And this partnership has continued to be just a very, very good and beneficial program for the county. Since its inception, Minnehaha County has had an informal agreement with Southeastern Behavioral to provide the QMHP services. Today, what we're looking for is your authorization to approve a formal agreement that records the same parameters of service and the same process that we have used, but just in a more formal recording of it. And Chris Graham with Southeastern Behavioral is here and would be able to speak to the program and service in more detail if you wish. But I just wanted to bring this to your attention for consideration and to formalize this very positive agreement that we have had in place for a number of years. This does not in any way change the cost of this program or the process that we will use and continue to use. It's just a formalized understanding of what we have been doing. Just as a review, the budget for Mobile Crisis Team that was authorized as part of the 2016 budget is $121,000. The 15 budget was $105,800, and actual expenses in 14 were $90,956. And then in 15, the actual expenses were $85,054.72. And I certainly would point out that those amounts are much less than we as a county would be spending if we had additional levels of commitments that were required because we didn't have this level of review and this additional option at our disposal. So I don't know if you have any questions for Chris or myself, or if Chris would like to say anything, but we would be available for your questions.
I would just point out that the dollar amount that you gave for 2015 is year-to-date, and we still have at least a month to go through, so that that $85,000 will be a little bit higher by the end of the year when we close out the books.
Very good point.
Commissioner Kelly.
Robert, I have a question now, because you made a kind of subjective statement there that there's been significant decrease. Have we got any, what are the numbers for IVCs? Have they, in the 3-year period, have they reduced? Have they gone down?
You know, for those specific numbers, I probably would look to either Chris or to Mr. Oste, who's also in attending the meeting in the audience.
It's fine, whichever can
Yeah,
answer.
I would look to them for the specific data.
You have to come up here, identify yourself, Chris, and that would be great, then we can all hear you.
Hi, I'm Chris Graham, CEO of Southeastern Behavioral Healthcare. To date, right now, we've had a 90% diversion rate for hold. So of the calls we've had so far, 456, we've diverted 90%. So the mobile crisis team has been very effective in reducing the number of holds as we've gone through the years and done that. So does that help? Do you have
Well, yeah, if I may. The IVs, when you do have the commitments, they go to Southeastern, is that correct?
No, the commitments.
If you choose to commit the person, if the mobile team goes out, I guess the best example is the threatening suicide and they're
Right.
drunk and when they wake up the next morning, does that person go to Southeast?
No. No, if we need to do a hold, they go to Vera Behavioral. If we it's a diversion, they may come to Southeastern, but they may go anywhere in the community. Mobile crisis is a resource. So if they actually do a hold, or that does not come to Southeastern.
Well, I guess that would be my question then is what, I mean, you say you diverted 90%, which is awesome.
Right.
But what were the numbers prior to having the mobile crisis team and what are they today?
Good
Can you
idea.
answer
Do you
that
know
one?
Jim?
For your time, Jim, but maybe you got the numbers.
Yeah, you might have that.
My name is Jim Oste, and I'm one of the chairmen of the County Board of Mental Illness. I don't know if we have the numbers that specifically address that question. Looking backwards, but looking forwards, I can tell you that we are going to be 150 to 200 petitions higher than at any prior year in history, despite the fact that mobile crisis is going to be able to be credited with avoiding 400 more holds.
Mm-hmm.
So the
So,
accomplishment
is there any
is
explanation on that, or?
fantastic. Pardon?
Is there a reason for that, or what? I mean,
A reason for the increased caseload?
yeah, I mean, we don't know when even when we started this thing, it was to divert, which is happening.
Right.
But in fact, if your IVCs are still going up, or IVC, is that the proper term? I'm not sure.
I worry
If the
sometimes
commitments are going up, I'm confused as to how we weigh the success of this program.
I don't know if we could go anywhere and learn the answer for why the numbers are going up, but you could take a social approach and say that with things like Sandy Hook and the Colorado theater shootings and a number
And
of
speaking,
other
Jim, can you speak into the mic?
a number of other catastrophic type events where the fingers have been pointed at mental health issues and perhaps shortcomings of the mental health system nationwide, maybe more people are reporting psychiatric crises. Maybe that's the answer.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Berth.
To Commissioner Kelly's comments, I think, Jim, in the past, before we had the mobile crisis, didn't we just put people in jail because we weren't sure if they were drunk, crazy, or suicidal or criminal or whatever? So we would just, the police officer on site didn't really have the tools to make an assessment that would lead to diversion to a more appropriate treatment facility.
I think there's a lot of truth in that.
So whatever we divert with this program is taking people and treating them better than just putting them in the slammer or whatever.
Well, the beauty of it is the diversion is either to staying at home with their families and children and jobs and property, and doing so safely when otherwise they would have been a hold and they would have been detained either at a hospital at significant cost or at the jail with significant stigma, I guess. So if you can resolve the crisis safely out on the street before you get to an institution, that's a very favorable, desirable result. And
I'm not in disagreement that
I'm sure you're not.
conceptually, I just am struggling to find, and it's not only your group, I mean, we fund programs and then 3 years down the road, you know, you try to say, well, is this program working, and ask that question, and I frankly don't see the answer yet.
Commissioner Kelly, this last year, we've diverted around 400 people, I believe you said.
Right.
If we would not have had mobile crisis team this last year, those 400 people would have either been in the hospital or they would have been in jail.
Absolutely.
I understand that,
Right.
but that means we'd have doubled or tripled what.
What
you know,
you're
what we're
actually
doing.
counting as holds yourself would have gone up by 400. So,
so instead of a 150 to 200 increase for calendar 2015, we'd be dealing with 550 or 600 for this year,
right.
which would have great cost, huge cost.
And oftentimes we're finding in mobile crisis that it's the first time person who's having suicidal thoughts. And so we're not seeing repeating people. So we've been able to de-escalate, work with them on getting resources in the community, and you're not seeing them again on the mobile crisis list. So that's a high percentage that you won't have going through your other systems of jail and the hospital. So,
I don't want to overreact to your questions, but mobile crisis and the Board of Mental Illness is just a very small part of the greater problem of mental health. And by and large, we don't even come forward thinking that we're going to provide a societal solution. We're just responding to the crisis and trying to minimize it and keep it out of the institutions and keep you from overtly paying for it.
right.
Yeah, I mean, we understand that in the jail, I mean, that's a huge problem for us in the jail, and jails across the United States. So you're right, there is a national mental health crisis, but I'm just trying to get my fingers around some numbers as in addition to what the theory is. But
I don't think
stop for
anybody's
now.
got the answer for why it's coming up so frequently now.
This is an authorization of the chair to sign the agreement between Minnehaha County and Southeastern Behavioral for the mobile crisis team.
I'll make a motion to authorize the chair to sign that agreement.
Second.
Motion and second. Are there any additional questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Item number 13 is consider a resolution appointing regular and alternate lay members of the County Board of Mental Illness and the County Review Board for Developmental Disabilities. Jim Oste, we're going to have you right back.
My name is Jim Oste, and I'm one of the chairmen of the County Board of Mental Illness, as well as the Board of Developmental Disability Review. The statutory scheme makes the chairman the head of that board and provides for the appointment by the county commission of 2 lay members, non-attorney members. We've been blessed with very gifted, experienced people, dedicated people who've served for a long time. But their 3-year terms are up, so this proposal is simply to seek reappointment of basically the same group of people in somewhat different positions, perhaps. We have had one of our valuable members suffer health problems, and he's indicated he can't serve any further. So I found a substitute person that all of you know, whose name is Mona Helseth, and having given the service she has to this county, it shouldn't be surprised that she's willing to serve further, and she will be very valuable to this group as well. In the HSC crisis context, we are having and we're going to have many more hearings than we have in the past. And that's going to make these people come forward on Tuesdays and Friday mornings for hearings. And it's going to place an additional need for having alternate board members so that people can be spelled when they have other obligations. The members are all employed, I guess, with the exception of Ms. Helseth, but they take time and they're able to take time out of their primary occupations to come and do this. So in a fashion, this is a very perfunctory request for continued appointment.
Okay, so this is item number 13, consider a motion to approve the regular and lay people. Commissioner Benega, do you have a comment?
Jim, if you wouldn't mind just sharing, and I don't need to know a lot of details, but obviously this is a very specialized field, and the individuals who have volunteered, can you just give me what their career position is, besides an interest in what this is?
I believe Ms. Johnson is a nurse. I believe Ms. Heirigs is a nurse. Jan Schmuck is a retired nurse.
Okay.
Our member who's bowing out was a salesman who sold all kinds of medical and pharmaceutical things to doctors, and I guess in a fashion, Mona Helseth doesn't have that kind of a medical background, but having for 35 years negotiated between judges and prosecutors and defense lawyers and the law, she's blessed with the kind of common sense that we need.
Thank you.
I don't mean to say that medical expertise or psychiatric expertise isn't important, but these decisions by and large are commonsensical, and we have our QMHPs and our psychiatrist doctors testifying in front of the board. So if a person is intelligent and commonsensical, they'll be very adequate for the job.
Well, obviously, they are very professional and dedicated to giving something back, so that's really what the question was, because some of us who are on multiple boards, sometimes the questioning or the concerns or the issues you deal with aren't something that we deal with on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm. I think they develop an expertise over time as well.
Yep.
Is there a motion on this?
I move that we approve the nominations.
Second.
A motion, a second. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 14 is consider a resolution to set, pardon me?
That was pulled.
Oh, sorry, that's the one that's off there. Okay, sorry. Item number 15 is authorize the purchase of one 2016 Chevy Impala in the amount of $17,372 from Beck Motors in Pierce, South Dakota, from a contract competitive bid and awarded by the state of South Dakota. Kristen Tranna, good morning.
Good morning. I'm Kristen Tran. I'm the Administrative Coordinator at the Sheriff's Office, and I come to you today to request authorization to purchase a vehicle. I want to be forefront in saying that it was not put in our budget. It's something that we had requested for the 2015 budget, but when money was so tight, it was one of those things we pulled out. We've seen savings in our budget that we would be able to do this. We had requested it also in the 2016 budget and had pulled it out of there as well. So if we have to wait until it's budgeted, it's going to wait until 2017. And I did list the mileage that we're seeing on the civil's cars, and it's something that we really could use, and to be able to get it at this price would be very beneficial for the Sheriff's Office.
And there's money in the budget that would cover the cost.
It would
of
come
this.
from a different ASN than the vehicle's ASN, but we would use, between current expenses and capital expenses, the savings in those ASNs to offset the cost of this.
Okay. Any questions for Kristen? Commissioner
Just
Bird?
quickly, so the actual expenditure would happen next year when you get delivery, or are you getting it still this year?
It would be our intention to order it with 2015 funds. We will probably need to carry over funds, and I'll work with the auditor's office to do that. It was something that we ended up having to do last year with a late delivery of a van that we'd purchased from Billion. In the jail, we had to carry over some funds, but that happens with credit cards and a lot of different expenses that happen here at the end of the year that we don't get the invoices by the end of January.
I move for approval.
Motion, is there a second? A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Item number 17 is a public hearing to consider adoption of the county's 5-year bridge and highway improvement plan as required by the South Dakota Department of Transportation. TJ Boothie, good morning.
Morning, Commissioners. DJ Boothie, Highway Superintendent. There we go. Okay. That works. There we go. All right, I have a PowerPoint that we put up there. This is a public hearing. This is for the 5-year bridge improvement plan, transportation plan that the Department of Transportation requires any county to conduct and submit to their department if they are wanting to be part of the Bridge Improvement Grant Program. And so that is something that Minnehaha County is definitely interested in and intends on participating in. And so this is one step that we have to go through in order to be one of the counties that has those funds available to us. This first year, as you know, SB1, the transportation funding bill that went through the legislature this year. This is the first year, so there's a lot of abnormalities associated with 2015 just because the scheduling is off with the administrative rule process not really being completed until late in the year. And so moving forward, it's going to be a lot different than it is this year. And so that's kind of my precursor into, we submitted our plan. It had preliminary approval, and that was great. They had great comments, but they did say that we did not do the public hearing process correctly. That was because we didn't know that nobody knew the rules of the public hearing process until late in the year. And so as we went through our budget cycle and beginning in March and then ending in September, we were unaware of what the public hearing process was going to be required. We knew that when we submitted the information, and we begged for forgiveness as we submitted it, and they said, no, we're actually going to have you go through the public hearing process, even though your plan is already completed. And so we're here today with our public hearing that was noticed a couple weeks ago, and then we're giving the presentation today. As part of the public hearing, I got this presentation on a PowerPoint, and that just is going to describe some of the philosophy of how we conduct our transportation plan. It is almost identical to our 4-year long-range plan that we prepare for our long-range planning process and budget process with the county. The only change is basically that we add a year at the end. And there also is a lot of inventory data that is part of the 5-year transportation plan that we don't necessarily put into our long-range plan. It's something that we do prepare and we keep on record in our department, but it's not submitted with the long-range plan. The inventory data is road information and bridge information, and I'll get to that as part of this PowerPoint. So why is a public meeting required? I basically described it's part of the administrative rule process from SB1, and they require a public hearing period. The public hearing, it requires us to send written invitation to the townships as one of the stakeholders. They're not directing our process, but they are stakeholders that are involved because we have several of our structures that are on the township road system. So we are required to send invitations to all townships, and we did, and I see a few of them are here with us today. The plan elements, as part of the 5-year plan, we have to submit to the DOT. It includes a written certification of adoption from the county commission. And so that's one thing that we'll ask at the end of today is for you authorization for the chairperson to sign off on the adoption of our 5-year plan. And then it also has to substantially conform to all the STDOT guidelines as set forth in the administrative rules. And we have received, again, like I said, preliminary approval of that. Our plan does meet their guidelines, and so this is just the next step in that process. Like I said before, the plan includes an inventory of roads. All of those bullet points right there are items that are included in our inventory of roads, and I think that is an attachment as one of the packet agenda items. It's a very exhaustive, long document that has a lot of numbers and tables and might be difficult to digest. And so I advise you, if you have any questions about any of our road inventory data, that you just ask us and we can walk through some of that with you. Along those same lines, inventory of bridges. Those are the bullet points that we are required to submit with our inventory to the DOT as part of our 5-year transportation plan. We definitely have a lot more bullet points in our own department inventory list that we look at all the time, but that's what we are required to submit to the state. We do have that information in the packet also, and we do have a board printed with some of that information, just knowing that it might have been a topic of conversation today. Some additional items, the statement of financial resources and the 5-year project list. That is the majority, the bulk of what we do for our long-range plan. The statement of financial resources is our revenues through our budget process. And then the 5-year project list, of course, is the list of projects that we have planned over the next 5 years. And then today's public hearing. The public hearing requirements, we are required to submit the evidence of the notice to the townships, the letter that we send out, an attendee list, and so I'll ask everybody that hasn't signed the attendee sign-up sheet today to sign that, especially if you have any comments that you want to make. We want to make record of that in the minutes that we submit to the DOT. The project list is the same as our long-range plan. It includes the listed items there on the bullet points. The biggest thing that will be new to us is any project that we want to go with a bridge improvement grant. We have to identify that in our 5-year transportation plan. And so we haven't submitted any applications yet this month, or the beginning of January we'll be submitting our first application. And so that'll be a new process too, but we're excited to get going on that with a big project in 2016. So this is the first page of our projected revenues, basically pulled straight out of our long-range transportation plan that you all have seen before. The highlighted items right there are of note. They're the state highway funds or the STP funds that we receive. For the next 4 years, we'll be receiving the payout of the balance that we've got with the state, and then the top line there, that's a continual payout that we will receive indefinitely unless the rules change. That dollar amount we've budgeted as remaining consistent. Some of you may have heard that there was a federal transportation bill that was passed a couple weeks ago, and so we're hoping that that number will begin to go up. And we won't really know that probably for several months until all the rulemaking process gets through the federal government and the state government, but we hope that number will go up for us. But you can see in the bottom line there, total revenues over $16 million next year, and then by 2020 we're over $18 million. So our revenues have gone up pretty significantly here in the last few years, and that's really great because we have a lot of projects that we have on a backlog that we want to begin working on.
Madam Chair, may I just ask DJ? So I noticed that our revenues go down though in 2017, and but those state highway funds are consistent. So what's happening?
There's a line item, other federal grant revenue, that has the blue numbers. I think it's 3 lines underneath the yellow.
Is that the stuff we do with UDC and stuff?
That's some grant information that I'm going to get to on the next slide.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And so you can see there's the big grants. There's the countywide signing replacement project. There's a lot of projects that we do that are paid through either at 100% or different reimbursement rates through the state government, and a lot of them use federal dollars. And so the previous slide will show a summary of some of the projects that are shown here using other sources for funding.
EJ, do you want comments and questions? Or do you wanna
If
wait
you want to
till
ask
we're done?
questions, go feel free. Yeah.
They're paying out the balance that we had. We had a kind of like a bank account up there.
Yep, we had a
roughly
balance of
$2 million.
STP funds at the state.
So they're paying that out over 4 years, then there won't be those funds available anymore.
On the bottom line of the two yellow lines, that's the state highway funds balance payout is what it says. The $443,951 per year. That's the balance payout that will only be there through 2019. And then after that,
Yeah.
we'll only receive our annual allocation.
So zero isn't quite, oh, okay. But there will be, there'll be an offsetting number, correct? I mean, there was money going into that fund.
Yep,
From the feds, is
there's
that correct?
STP money that goes into that fund,
We
and
weren't
that's
using it, then it
it
stayed in the.
accrues, right. And the top line of the two yellow is that annual allocation that we're receiving from the federal government. And so that $679,484 is what we receive annually. And some years we weren't using that, and so that was accruing into an account in Pier. And that balance payout line item, the next line item, is the payout of that balance that we had. And so after 2019, that account will be zero, and so we'll no longer be receiving the balance payout dollar amount, but we will still receive the annual allocation.
I'm still trying to figure out what Senate Bill 1 did to us.
Senate Bill 1 wasn't really anything to do with the state highway funds, other than it led to the state promising that they were going to continue the state allocation of $679,000.
This is more of a policy change?
As a
than-
policy
okay.
change, yeah. And the way that they fund it, it changed that way a little bit too, but really didn't have any impact on us. The funding dollar amount is really set through formulas that come from the federal government. And so, moving ahead to the next slide is the 2016 projects. I certainly can go through these one by one, but it's not my intent. It would take a long time to go through the next 5 years of projects, and so we have a lot of project maps that we can show you after the meeting or at the end of the presentation if anybody has any questions on specific projects. But the intent of the state is that we just show them that we're planning projects. We're not just throwing together haphazardly things to do every year. And so this is our 2016 project list. And we have a 2017 project list, 2018 project list, 2019 project list, and 2020 project list. And so we have a number of projects. The farther that we go out from the current time, the more up in the air some of those projects might be, because we continue to change our program. The program evolves based on current conditions. And so it's definitely not a shot in the dark when we look at 2020, but it is more of an estimate than 2017, for example. And so our program for 2016 and 17 is pretty good. It's set in stone for the most part. There might be some changes based off of some bridge reports that we receive, but as we get out to 2020, we're looking at more systematic type projects that we're going to be looking at, and it's hard to identify the real down and dirty details of those types of projects. This map shows some of the surface treatments of the roadways in different colors for the next 5 years, and then it shows stars that might be a little bit difficult to see unless you're on your iPad and you zoom in a little bit for the bridge projects in 2016. And so we have a project map that we've included with our submittal to the state and your documents there. And we intend on, again, this map evolving all times as we add projects to the program, or years of the projects might change. We'll change colors, so we have a good map that we can reference, and sometimes that's easier to look at than a spreadsheet full of project lists and numbers. Any information that we presented to you is available. You've got all the information on your iPads through Dropbox. We can get you hard copies of any of that stuff that you might need. One thing I want to emphasize, we've had several new bridge structures that were included in our weight limits this year as a result of the specialized haul vehicles being assessed or addressed during the bridge inspection process. And so those, that's kind of a red flag for our department. We're going to look into those and see if there's some projects that we can come up with to try to reduce the impact to our bridge system and the traveling public on our road system. We have right now 30 structures that are posted on our bridge system. That's up from 19 a couple years ago, which we're not very happy about. And so we're going to aggressively pursue getting that number back down. We have a backlog of reconstruction on our road highway system of 4%. That equates to about 14 miles of reconstruction that we need to look at doing in the near future. We're going to start in the next 2 years with a 5.5 mile reconstruction project just north of Hartford to begin working on that. So again, we have a pretty aggressive maintenance schedule, maintenance program to work on this stuff. And what the state was intending with this process is just to show to them that we are planning and we're looking forward into the future years and coming up with a maintenance schedule and a maintenance process, so we're not just reacting all the time at a worst first situation. So I think that we do a pretty good job in our department programming these types of things. The comments that we get back from the state are very positive when we submit this kind of stuff. And so, like I said, we look forward to working with the state in the near future on a bridge improvement grant over on Redwood Boulevard by Brandon. Again, please be sure to sign the record of attendance sheet. And then the next 5-year plan for 2017 to 2021 will begin already like in March or April when we begin the budgeting process. And we'll probably have this hearing process as part of that, since we already do a lot of budget hearings through our budget process. Just makes sense to combine them rather than go later on. So thanks for listening. If you have any questions, I can certainly try to answer them now. If anybody from the audience has any questions too.
Commissioner Barth.
DJ, thanks for the professionalism of your department. But so this hearing was actually required to earlier in the year. Was that after the passing or signing into law of Senate Bill 1? Is that the deal? Or
the hearing is required as part of the administrative rules, which were completed after the law was adopted in April. And so the administrative rule process, it takes a long time. I think the administrative rules were adopted in September. September was
we
when
had
they
3 months to comply with the rules, and then we get to go another 3 months and have another hearing.
Right. Like I said, 2015 is certainly going to be a goofy year for everybody. Basically, every highway department in the state that wants to try to comply this first year is doing some sort of a last-second public hearing process to try to be able to be in compliance.
Thank you.
Any other questions for DJ? This is a public hearing. Is there anyone who wants to speak in support of this plan? Anyone who wants? You have to come up, identify yourself, and give your address, please. We're looking for support of the plan first.
Royal Salkin, 45888 249th Street, Humboldt, South Dakota, 57035. And I'd just like to say that the bridge thing is kind of out of hand. It's like you go down a road and there's a bridge there that's the weight is reduced on, and you're traveling on the road and there's a bridge, and you got to find a way around it or you got to lighten your load. So it's just one of the things that if we can get this bridge thing, if we can take out the bridges and put in a culvert or something like that until we get money to put bridges in or something like that, that'd be good. So whatever they can do to keep the bridges to the weight of the road, that would be good. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Salkin. Other public comment in support of the plan?
Dennis Warner, Supervisor of Split Rock Township, some time back, and Mr. DJ Boothie and I and all of you have they addressed it, the Maple Street confrontation with the problems we've had up there over the years, and now with 100 going through, I'm just curious if there'd ever been anything done with the future planning between now and the time frame that we're looking at in regards to looking at what could be done or what might be done for funding or anything in that area also, along with all the bridge work. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. DJ, do you have any response to the question? Okay.
Sure do. Dennis, we did look at that, the date's gonna escape me, but maybe 6 months ago. And at the time, we came up with a report that we submitted to the commission, and I think that Split Rock Township probably received a copy of that too. But at the current time, our recommendation is not to do the sort of take over Maple Street as a county highway and pave it. But we will definitely keep looking at traffic counts on an annual basis and reviewing that regularly. And at which point we can make a recommendation, we certainly will, to the county commission to do something further as part of a project. Shannon is working with the MPO and CCOG for them to do a traffic study, not only of that area, but a few different hotspot areas in the county. And is that going to be in 2017 or 16? Their fiscal year is half 16, half 17. Okay, so during their fiscal year, which goes from 16 to 17, they're going to be looking at a traffic study of multiple different areas, very similar to Maple Street, and some spots on our county highways that we're going to be looking at some turn lanes and things like that. And so as far as Maple Street specifically goes, though, we will be looking at that every single year, doing some traffic counts, and at some point, I would imagine in the future, we'll be making a recommendation to the county commission to do something as far as the project goes, or try to work with some of the other entities to do a combined effort project.
Okay, thank you. Is anyone else that wants to speak in favor of the plan? Any proponents? Are there any opponents? Anyone who wants to speak against the plan? Seeing none. Any comments from the commission before I ask for a motion? Look for a motion to approve the Highway 5-year Bridge and Highway Improvement Plan.
That's my motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Number 18 is consider a motion to approve the highway construction change order number 1 in the amount of $5,717.50 to the contract with BX Civil and Construction for project number MC Bridge Railing 2015. DJ Boothie.
Commissioners, as you're very well aware, just in the last few weeks, we're doing a lot of final change orders on projects in order to do our process, our final pay applications. I think that we've only had one significant increase. This one is a significant increase of over almost $6,000, over $5,000 of an increase. That's primarily because we had an accident on one of our roads that destroyed some guardrail, I think, on a bridge. And so we had this active guardrail project, and we did a change order in order to fix that guardrail as part of this contracted project. So we didn't have to do a separate project. So that's the majority of the reason of the increase on this one, but it is needed to do the process of final pay application. If you got any more questions, I can sure answer them.
Make a motion to approve that change order. I do have a question.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it, and then I got a question
There a
of
second?
DJ, which,
Commissioner Barth has a question.
DJ, so when a private party does damage our bridge, we go to collect from them if we can, right?
That's correct, yes. We don't work with a collection agency, but Sandy in our office, she works with usually the insurance company of the party that was at fault, and we do a pretty good job of collecting to reimburse our efforts.
Commissioner Kelly, did you have a comment?
I would say this is brilliant minds think alike, because that was my same question.
Well, if I might follow on, just,
Okay.
this isn't a question, but in the telephone business, our poles, our telephone boxes, our buildings, they're getting knocked over all the time. And to be honest, you're not safe anywhere as a pedestrian unless you're in a concrete building. And it's amazing how people can, we had a building where the guy drove across over 200 feet of grass and then hit a brick building. Why, I don't know, but it caused a lot of damage.
I have a motion and a second on item number 18, which is a highway change order number 1 in the amount of $5,717.50. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 19 is consider a motion to approve professional services agreement between Minnehaha County and Infrastructure Design Group Incorporated for design services in the amount of $122,929.50 for replacement of structures MC 50-070-098 and 70-072-100. DJ Boothie.
Commissioners, this comes at a good time, I think, after one of the public comments that we heard on our transportation plan. These two bridges that we're looking at requesting authorization to replace are not currently part of our long-range plan. They weren't budgeted for 2015 for design. They weren't budgeted for 2016 for design or construction. But they were identified during our bridge inspection process as two bridges that are in poor condition as it relates to specialized haul vehicles and subsequently posted. The way that these are constructed, they're not able to be fortified in any way in order to remove the posting, and so we basically have to replace these if we want to get the posting off of these two structures. We've looked at it a few different ways, and we've come to the determination that that is what we would like to do moving forward, is to replace these two structures. They're both on county highway systems. They're a route that's commonly used on the way to the Lions Elevator and probably some other places too, like Hartford. And so we don't right now have a set in stone construction timeline, but we do know that we have, like I said a couple of weeks ago, almost $1 million in unspent funds from 2015 that we would like to move forward with getting some designs on the shelf ready to go for construction. So when we can budget them through the next budget cycle for replacement, we're ready to go with the construction plans. So this agreement is for the preliminary design and the final design of these two structures. And then through the budget cycle, beginning in March, we will look at construction year for these. Right now, I would say it's probably the fall of 2017 at the earliest. But like I said, we'll have to look at a lot of different variables and other projects to see if that works within our budget.
Any questions on this? Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the professional services. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Commissioners.
Item number 20 is consider a motion to approve the following supplements. Kim Adamson, do you want to just go through them, Kim, and then we can approve them as one motion?
Sure. Good morning, Commissioners. Kim Adamson from the Auditor's Office. We have a list of 7 different supplement areas, all the result of reimbursements or pass-through grant dollars. The first 3 items are to the Human Services budget areas. The first for an exercise account, the result of vending revenue. The second item, donated funds to print bus passes. The third item to supplement Human Services expenses for donations received. The fourth item, a supplement to the Safe Home budget, again for donations received during the year. The fifth item, to the state's attorney's budget for salaries and benefits, as well as equipment associated with the state, the highway safety grant for DUI prosecution. Those items totaling $160,420. The sixth item, also to the state's attorney budget for data processing equipment, due to an award by the state of South Dakota for the drug control grant. And the last item, 2 pass-through grants, one for the hospital preparedness grant for $93,815, and the second for the Indian Child Welfare Act for professional services for $104,058.
Are there any questions for Kim? Do I need to read the ASN numbers with the amounts for the motion?
Well, it would be nice to have the amounts, I think.
Okay. I'm going to just go through, if there's no questions for Kim, I'm just going to read the ASN number and the amounts for your motion. Item A is ASN 17370 in the amount of $342.78. ASN 17373 in the amount of $2,400. ASN 17374 in the amount of $2,000. ASN 18180 in the amount of $450, ASN 15600 in the amount of $130,230, ASN 15607 for $9,708, ASN 15609 for $7,821, and $8,053, ASN 15636 for $4,608, ASN 15691 for $12,137.74, and ASN 2353 for $93,815, ASN 2356 for $104,058, and that's all of them.
Madam Chair, I do have a question on the last one.
Okay.
You know, that's 2356 professional services of $104,000. Who gets that money?
That money is used for expert witness services. We currently have a contract with a gentleman to
Right.
provide those expert witness
Okay.
services.
And thank you for that. I know that some of these other grants, people are getting big bucks for things, and it's not necessarily getting where it should go, and I just wanted to know. I would make a motion to approve them all.
Okay, look for a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Kim. Item number 21 is liaison reports. Are there any liaison reports? I would just say I had Robert make 2 copies for you from the Chamber of Commerce meeting this past week. One of them is the Chamber's 2016 legislative platform. It is a draft form, and the other one is the resulting analysis of the 2015 legislative issue survey. Both of them very interesting, and instead of talking about them or making Mark talk about them, because I'm sure he will be visiting with us a lot in the future in 2016, those are the papers that I have for you this month. Are there any other liaison reports?
From the
Commissioner Kelly?
Development Foundation side, excuse me, Foundation Park, it appears, you know, that there hasn't been much, but there's a lot of activity going on out there. There's about 4 sites that have either letter of intent or signed or pending or something. And my understanding is it'll be annexed next week, I think, in the city commission meeting. I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. Any other reports? Okay. Is there any new business?
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Barth?
You know, this is a great time of the year, and I'd like to wish all of us here, everyone listening, the whole county staff, a Merry Christmas, and just say God bless us, everyone.
Thank you, Jeff. Any old business? I would say the same from the commission office and all the staff. Thank you very much to Minnehaha County and all that they do for us, and I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas. I'm sure everyone is anticipating their 24th afternoon off, so that being said, I have, do you have old business?
Just a couple comments for you, just as a reminder that laying in front of you is your, we're going to start working on liaison assignments for next year, so we do appreciate you giving us your wish list, your desire list, your opportunity list to go through and do. And just a reminder for the commissioners and the public, and also in 2 weeks is your first organizing meeting of the year, January 5th, and one of the things that you will be doing is setting your commissioner's salary at that time. So if you wanted to be having any discussion with the public as you're out and about, this would be the time to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd look for a motion to adjourn into executive session for and personnel.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion, meeting adjourned.